for introduction of industrial role and pathways. The IT industry is growing field with many opportunities of advancement. Not only you're going to see your current role that you guys are studying for, but a plethora of roles that are out there in this session. But you will learn about the roles of IT professionals, considered obviously different various career paths, and you'll also examine the importance of adapting to an organizational culture and guidelines, because every single company has their own set rules and or guidelines. By the end of this, we should be able to describe the opportunities and potential pathways for IT professions, explain the primary responsibilities of IT professionals and how it may play in a given day, articulate the importance of getting to know the guidelines and norms of your organization that you're going to be working for. We need to understand that IT professionals must be able to demonstrate strong technical skills along with key behavioral skills and mindsets, and be prepared for a wide range of jobs, and will have multiple paths of advancement that we'll be seeing soon. The majority of the IT professionals today work day is spent problem solving and providing customer service for clients. As pretty much all my previous students will tell you, welcome to Disney World. Service with a smile. No matter what that person says, you're just gonna smile and wave. I understand they're gonna be yelling at you. They're gonna be screaming at one point, and they're gonna be saying, "Why did you delete my PST file, Diego? Now I have no emails." And there was no server at that time. Oh, wait a minute. That's just me having flashbacks. Don't worry about that. Now there's backups. But either which way, you just need to be able to remain calm overall in these type of situation. So what we'll be covering overall, adaptability, future orientation within this here. So somebody tell me, what do you already know about being IT professionals? Fadil, might as well be a dictatorship. No one wants to jump up for joy.
You gotta have some patience.
All right, I'll have patience. You can go first. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
So, what else do you need to know about IT professionals? Good feedback there on that one. Thank you. Anyone else know?
Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, what people think of IT profession, they're those miracle workers. People think that, if you have anything wrong with your computer, I am not an IT person, like they can be able to perform miracles. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they just make
Did that
things
come through?
appear. Yes, I mean it was a little bit robotic, but I think I got part of it. At least the gist of the message. Yes, they can make miracles, and they seem to make things appear
Oh,
from
it
out of
says
nowhere.
my internet is unstable. Sorry.
Not a problem at all. Thank you. Give
I
me
have
one
one.
second. Go ahead, please.
It requires you to like continue learning because the field is always changing,
That is
right?
correct. Yeah, that's one thing we should know about it. That we will welcome to your first day of never stop learning. This has in the last 30 something years has come from a big humongous floppy drive like this to a little device that you can carry with you. And we actually had sneaker net before the internet. Not sure if anybody knows that invention. It was the best one ever. Besides having the homing pigeon network, that would be the second fastest one back in the day. Don't be scared. Homing pigeons still exist, believe it or not, as an internet connection. No lie. Look it up in Google. Homing pigeon, Africa internet. They basically put the little USB stick on the homing pigeon and send them away. It's much faster than sending a gig of data over a phone line. So I'm not kidding. It's the truth. So tell me, what excites you about the profession overall?
There's so many different like pathways to go, like for different, I guess, like whatever you want to be in IT, I guess, in a sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not one way, one cookie cutter way of doing these things, depending on what you decide and what you like. You can be going from network security. There is a plethora of decisions that you can make depending on exactly what you prefer. So, what makes you nervous? Anyone?
Can you say the question again?
What makes you nervous about this profession?
Nerves.
Yeah, I guess it's how much it's necessary to know. It doesn't matter which kind of field actually, but it's like always a lot and always space for progressing. So in one way that's cool, in another way it's a little intimidating.
It can be. It can be. Any other one would like to provide their feedback on what's a little scary here? Might be a little.
Making a mistake, like what you're talking about, completely erasing somebody's information altogether, not being able to correct it.
Yeah, that we'll learn also that instead of the hardware like I did, there is some steps for troubleshooting, and we'll be covering that. One of them is to back up everything before you touch anything. But I mean, after you erase the HR manager stuff, you kind of get that one to heart, especially since you get into a little round room and they ask you to sit in a corner. Little difficult. I couldn't find the corner. If somebody can find me where in that round corner I needed to sit, I will give you $100. Anyways, but that can be intimidating, obviously, making mistakes. That's why we need to understand that we have a team here within the industry. You should be able to, especially specifically if you're new in the area, you should be able to ask away in reference to the guidelines, procedures of how stuff gets done within a company. Because assuming that just because you know how to do it, you should be resetting somebody's password could actually get you fired in some occasions, because even though you have the rights, you're not allowed to do something. One thing is the rights that you've been given, and the other is what you should do with those rights. Sorry about that. I always do that to myself. Forgot to click next. Those were the questions we just said. So today we are going to learn a lot about the IT industry, both details on an IT professional's work and the characteristics of an IT successful and career opportunities that may, yeah, sorry, career opportunities that you might experience from choosing this role. Please mute yourselves. It gets a little distracting. I'm like a little puppy dog. You can get me so quickly distracted with background noise. So please mute yourselves. Thank you. So anybody start filling out the form here or would like me to fill it out. If you can start responding there, I see no answers so far. What does IT technology mean to you? What do you believe IT technology means? Anyone? What does IT technology mean to you?
You want
Information
us to write it
technology.
down or say it in words?
You could just put it in it should be a box there. So if you want me to type your answer, I could put it in here.
If they're following along on their own website, they can just
Yeah,
add.
you should be
info.
able to type it yourself. I can see your response and I will share everybody's response when you finish. So if you're typing away, I have 31 people so far, or sorry, 31% so far that have responded.
I see some good
Okay.
responses.
Future
Mine
stability.
says information technology mean to me.
Yes, what mean, yeah, did I say something else? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
Read
said
what I said. Don't listen to what I say, do what it says.
all right.
All right. So I see a lot of people's been busy there. So what is IT technology? Don't worry about it, guys. You're not gonna get graded on that. IT, or information technology, IT, it basically is a field of computers, the operation and their maintenance of. IT is a plethora of things. You have phones nowadays that are even residing within our technology. So no longer are we just dealing with computers, we even have the actual cell phones. That is now part of IT because you have your email, you have everything in there, and there's a plethora of different applications that you can install for business purposes. Fun little facts to learn here, people. As you can see, overall, 13% from 2016 to 2026, we expect a growth within these next 10 years. Believe it or not, I can show you here in the labor statistics that the median wage for IT is 82,000. The median wage for a regular role is 37,000. If anybody remember what mean means, is pretty close to a medium, right? So if we look at this, there is nothing here that says that really below that 45 mark. That is a little bit behind the times. Your computer support specialists are are coming, not always, but depending on the organizations, the average is 54,000 a year. It beats a little bit when you're coming and thinking about it, flipping burgers. I don't know about you, but I think I'd rather get paid $54,000 putting up with people's attitude than flipping burgers for about 20 something thousand a year. So overall, when we're looking into the details of this, we're going to look at the entry level careers in the IT. As we see here, the IT individual is anywhere from 12 to 18, but this is obviously just a country average. Depending where you work, sorry, depending where you live, those can fluctuate overall. But the average is anywhere between 12 to 18. And thank God now that, what do you call that? The least you can get paid. Anybody want to remember what the word is?
Minimum wage.
Thank
Entry.
you. Minimum wage is going up to $10, then to $15. So you could only think if the minimum wage right now, I think it's $7 an hour or something like that, somewhere in Florida, or $8 and something. If the minimum wage is going up, you best bet yours is going up. That's another thing that's good about this situation. When other salaries get, bumped up that are lower than yours, they obviously have to adjust everybody. So they're gonna have to adjust yours. Any questions or doubts? I could read every single word here, but I'm not here for that. That would be just irritating the living daylights out of you. Next area we have here is the medical records IT. You'll notice that this one is also almost like a entry role itself, and it's 18 to $20 an hour. It's a little bit more pay because of the fact that you're dealing with, health information, and you need to have a little bit more certifications to be able to be in there. Overall, what we are trying to look for in generation here is to provide you with the capabilities of being a user specialist. It's an entry-level help desk technician who provides technical assistance and resolves problems, maintains and installs hardware. At the same time, this could be a dispatch technician. I understand, yes, everyone knows who a help desk technician is, but the dispatch technician works coincides with the actual help desk. They're usually other ones, and sometimes it's the exact same person who you call, and then they'll show up to your desk. Hence the word dispatch. Next person that we will be concentrating is on a network specialist. A network specialist is very, very similar in its responsibilities of user support. The variance is that he's able to test, evaluate, and maintain networks for the business. It's a little bit more of a niche towards that area. Either which way, those are the roles that you should be able to fill. Questions or doubts? Sometimes I go real fast. Sometimes I go too slow. Boo! Good. I scared her. Next one. Jobs versus career path. Somebody like to tell me what is the difference between a job and a career path?
A job is kind of like more like dead end, while a career pathway, there's more opportunities, pathways to go.
Yeah, job is where you at that point in time. You come, you punch your card, you go. Your career path is exactly you would have to think in future orientation mindset. See where you are now. What can you do to affect of where you want to be in the future? If you want to be a help desk technician, a dispatch tech, and get paid 12 to $18 an hour, fine and dandy. But I'll show you that real soon. We're going to be reviewing some things. So as I'm talking to you in a moment, you're going to be taking notes. Now listen to the three categories that of information. What the people do in these roles, what are their knowledge and prerequisites for these roles in the career path? This may come in a form of education, certification, types of backgrounds, and what is the expected salary? So if you have a little notepad, something handy, Word, whatever you like, or even the little button here on the side, whichever makes you nice and warm and toasty, just take note if you want to write it down, or maybe you want to highlight it for yourself on which one you think you will like. Questions, doubts on the game we're about to play. Survey says, all right. In reference to your IT path, you have your entry levels, as you notice here. You have your help desk support services, so that we call layer one. You always have at least three levels of support. You have your first level, which is your front line, your second level, which is a little bit more of the specialists and or people that have specific knowledge, and then you have your advanced areas. In this case here, though, they're only showing you obviously advanced, but you'll be surprised. There is times that the managers make less than the person that is doing the job. Yes, I just said that. I know it sounds weird and it sounds ridiculous. It doesn't happen in operations, it doesn't happen in accounting, it won't happen anywhere else except for IT, where you will make more money than your boss, depending on your role. So as we'll start here in these layers, you have your CompTIA A plus, Network Plus certifications, different certifications for anyone that's in the lower. You have your team leaders or group leaders, could be even your second level support, where they could be also your supervisors, depending on the company itself. Usually they have and require further certification, requiring a little bit more of the interpersonal and customer service skills. There's also, as we see, other lateral niche like a cybersecurity or maybe a person that can program phone systems. They wouldn't be in the front line. They would be more in the middle or mid. Then you have your advanced, as you see here, managers, and there is much more bigger roles than just this one here, which require further certifications. Believe it or not, do not get ever upset the day that you actually show up to a job and your boss has no clue on what you are. A manager is a manager, a person's a person that actually knows the job. Your boss may at certain levels, like your supervisors, stuff like that, but the higher you go up, the less they know, most likely. I've had experiences where people have come straight out of IE accounting and they have no clue anything about IT. Why? Because they're a manager. They're there to deal with resources, time, allocation, making sure everybody's trained. They're not there to know your job. Your supervisor may know your job, which is a team leader or something like that. But your manager, you got best bet that some of them may not know. I'm not saying all of them, but some of them may not know. So don't get upset with that. It's got nothing to do with their knowledge. It's just the role that they play. So here goes a little game that we're going to. So you notice here, we're going to start from the left to the right. You'll see that degrees of knowledge, especially in the red areas, tends to get bigger. So you have your high school degree, associate's degree, and your specialist roles over here. If it tells you this is you now becoming a victim just because you have Network Plus or you know Python or you know any of this stuff. If you do not have an associate's degree, most likely you're going to have a barrier if you do not have sufficient years of service or knowledge in the actual area. So take note of these little things here. So CompTIA A plus, proficient in reading English, writing English. So anything that you see here most likely would be equivalent or needed for the next roles. You have your computer network specialist. You see that they need the CCNA or Network Plus versus just having an A plus. Your computer programmers required to know Java, C++, Python, and various other different languages depending on what are they programming. You also have here some college degrees depending. But if you'll notice, look at the jump. Just from being a high school person of 18 to 20, average of 35 to 40, which we saw lately is almost at 50 something thousand a year, it jumps to 30 to $37 an hour. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't mind making that type of money. It goes even further. When you're looking at your specialist roles, which are your computer system analysts, your information security analysts, your database administrators, they need to know SQL, for instance, know how to actually do the servers for databases. Your security analysts need to know exactly everything and how to analyze and process stuff with security. These are all different areas within the same thing. It used to be before that it was all encompassed as one, but there's just no way everybody can know everything. So they have obviously started creating all these other roles. Any questions or doubts?
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is there anything more like a bachelor's degree? Could that also improve your income?
Oh yeah, definitely does. I'm surprised. I think they took that out. Either that, they took that slide out, or I'm not sure why they don't have it here.
It typically
I,
falls under degree or equivalent experience,
hmm
as with most
hmm
fields.
hmm
Like, if you're really good at what you do, they're not going to care if you have a bachelor's degree.
That is
But the
correct.
bachelor's degree,
It opens
it
doors.
helps, but it's not an end all be all.
It does open doors though and facilitates the process when you're coming in fresh out of nowhere. If you do not have years of experience, it makes it difficult. At the same time, to be able to grow within companies, a lot of them uh, require that. So you'll see it in the posting. And then you're going to get frustrated because of the fact that, yes, you have been doing that job for years. You know how to program everything, but you don't have either the certification or the correct requirements that HR is asking for. So then somebody brand new is coming in, has all these requirements, checks all the boxes, never did the job, and they're getting the position.
Hey, Diego, Nicole
Yeah.
had a question.
Okay. Nicole, go ahead and unmute yourself, Nicole.
Me?
Yeah. You had a question?
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask, when we're talking about degrees, are we specifically talking about IT degrees
hmm
or just having a degree in general?
It would be in the field itself. You would require some of them. They even accept if you're going into management, they'll accept business administration. Uh, They'll even might even accept IE industrial engineering degrees, depending on the role that you're going to. But usually they want it towards the IT, IS, something like that.
Diego, if I could piggyback off of that
hmm
as well.
Yeah.
I have a degree in chemistry
hmm
and biology, and I can tell you that a degree, Nicole, and everyone else is just a way for HR or whoever that's doing the recruiting can see that you decided to spend 2 years or 4 years dedicated to actually finishing a task. That could be how your name goes from the bottom of the pile to up towards the top, and then you got to seal the deal with the way that you communicate. But I've learned that it helps identify candidates at times when the experience is not there, and the certification will do that as well. It just shows that you dedicated yourself to learn or master a skill, and you took the time and whatever that was required to get that done, because you're going to need that in whatever field that you pursue. So it's an added bonus, but as you're saying, I'm not working in a chemistry related field, but I think we anytime I have an interview, they always ask like, hey, well, you got a degree in chemistry, so that's always been a conversation. piece. And I always try to say to them, yes, I wanted to do this initially, and I set out to finish that goal, and I'll finish whatever goals that you have set for this employment opportunity. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I was specifically referring to the data on the salaries and wages. If those degrees actually increase your prospects for making more money.
Well, yeah, I mean that those things do impact on the way they evaluate you, and they also look at the growth factor. If you continue your education, all those factors are looked into. Usually yearly, they're looking at, you know, sorry, usually yearly is at the end of the year they review the whole thing, but quarterly they're having uh, reviews with you, seeing on what your plan is for your 5, 10 years, seeing what you're doing to actually impact that. So all those take into accord, not only your current degree, but what have you done to keep yourself up to date. Because as I stated at the beginning of this, welcome to the first day of never stop learning. That's the reason why we get paid big bucks, because we got to keep on getting updated. Uh, Back in the day, Ethernet did not exist. When I started, it was token ring and BNC connectors. We're going to talk about the bus, but I rode the bus. And no, it wasn't the physical bus, but it is a physical bus. Never mind. Not even going to, I'm going to stop my bad jokes. When we get there, we'll get there. Either which way, I had to continuously learn, and I haven't stopped learning. And all these roles, depending where you go, and the more that you know, the more you're willing or be able to ask for more when it comes to positions. Another thing that we need to take note is the position that you are applying for. It's not your knowledge. I could be 20 years stuck in this little position right here. So when you notice that you're not going over $20 an hour, because after your yearly reviews, they just not, yeah, that's your position. You're stuck in a job. You forgot to think about your career and your opportunities.
Diego, have you met people along the way where they don't necessarily have degrees, but they do get certified and they have the experience or continue to get experience and kind of climb their way up the ladder that way?
I guess that would be me.
Yes, I didn't hear that. They're gonna blame me, bro. Stop. Yeah, but you got Lazaro here. He doesn't have a degree, but he's here. He took the course, he passed the course, and he also got certified. So when he got interviewed, which he did, he got interviewed for this position. Believe it or not, your teacher is right in front of you. I'm just got a bunch of certifications. I got pretty close to getting all my credits to get a bachelor's, but never finished the bachelor's. Because back in the 80s, there was no such thing as what there is now. It was it was an insult to me the whole time. So I knew more than the teacher. So I just walked out and said, "That's it. I'm not I'm not putting up with it." Obviously, that hurt me. I'll tell you right now, it hurt me because within UPS, it created a glass ceiling that I couldn't get past. I made it to portfolio project manager, wasn't able to get anything higher than that because of the fact that I didn't have a 4-year degree. Just that simple thing. HR wouldn't allow it to go any further than that. So I always recommend, if possible, finish your degrees, get all your certifications. Don't give them an excuse or the computer. Because as you see here, this list of requirements, everything's been automated, guys. Just think about it. When the computer, they tell it that they want a bachelor's and it doesn't say bachelor's, and as you saw, he said chemistry, they're not even checking chemistry, just checking that little box. Does he have a bachelor's? Yes. That candidate is good to view. It's automated. There's no human. Unfortunately, the first wave is no longer a human aspect. There's no one reading your actual resume. They're just checking with an automated script, and if you pass that, Then you get into the human aspect. They'll call you. Otherwise, unfortunately, there's no longer that fact. The same thing with the years of experience. Years of experience will also help. So 30 years, 30, what, 32? God, I'm old. 30 years of experience kind of helps. Next area here, which I kind of pushed back by mistake, is the middle skill roles. The most requested credentials you'll see here is your A plus for certifications, network, Microsoft certification, Cisco, security. Some of them require phone system certifications, depending on what role you're going for. You have your technical skills that you require and your baseline skills. You'll notice there communication, customer service, problem solving. Those are things that they're looking for. Those baseline skills that you see there, a lot of people get fired because of this one right here. They just don't have it. They have this. They went and got book smart. They went and got all that. But when it comes to dealing with people and dealing with the interaction, unfortunately, those skills they lack. So I believe we should have, am I correct on that? Yes, you do. We should have the capability of putting a roles. You should be able to write for yourselves there. Go ahead and in here, we're going to be looking at this area. Draw your best plans, what you think you're going to be your starting roles, the credentials that you believe you're going to need, where you plan to proceed. So you have your starting, your next, and then your ultimate goal at the end there. It could be all three the same if you want to be in a help desk for the rest of your life. It's up to you. Questions or doubts?
We got
Okay.
somebody with
How do
their
you
hand
write
up.
inside of it?
I just put it in right now, so it should be available now for you to write.
Oh, there we go.
By the way, I recommend you use the text, which is right next to the marker and next to also the picture. So it's a lot easier for you to write what you want. It's kind of like how it works with PowerPoint.
So remember to think about it in the bottom, which is going to be your starting off cap, where you plan on starting. Then think about in 10 to 15 years where you're going to be planning on being, and eventually you're 20 years and above where you think you might be. This is more of a fun little thing to do for yourselves. Believe it or not, I think I said it a moment ago, and I'll say it again. They will be doing this with you, not this little chart, but asking you these type of questions. And if they don't quarterly have these type of, or monthly, or even weekly, they should be weekly letting you know, but quarterly closing the quarter with the results, you should have these talks of where are you, where you plan to be in the near future, and what is going to be your ultimate goal within 10 years. And that continuously changes. It shouldn't stay because 10 years are going to pass. And if you're planning to still do the same thing the next 10 years, and I think there was something wrong with your whole plan to begin with. Questions or doubts?
If we know like which position we're aiming for, can we just write that at the top?
Yeah. Yeah,
below
exactly. The one on the top. So within 10 to 10, and then here maybe 5 to 10, where you're going to be one within a year, 5 to 10, and then where you ultimate. Remember, even when you get here to the ultimate, I mean, I thought I was only going to be the, senior telecom tech at one point. Later, I know that they were going to pick me to be the program manager for IT, and then eventually got portfolio project management. It's usually where you make nice little bucks, but that one's hard. You actually got to know that managing position requires you to know everybody's job. You got to know what everybody's doing. It's not as the other manager that I told you. All right, guys, I'll leave you one more minute there while I'm still blabbing. To feel free and write. Remember on the right side to put the credentials that you believe that are required for those positions that you're looking for. I would change the page, but if I do that, it's going to change your page for you. So hopefully you took notes as I stated a moment ago. So who would like to share out what is their ultimate goal sorry, so let's start from the bottom. Who would like to share out what they have on the bottom here? They're going to be a IT specialist, network specialist.
I put
So
IT help desk since
okay.
this is what we're starting with. Is that good? Is that good?
Yeah, realistic. All right. Where did you go from there? From 5 to 10 years, what you put in the middle?
Data scientist with a
Nice.
bachelor's degree in computer science.
And then eventually your ultimate goal within the 10 to 20 year span?
Some type of managerial position like supervisor or any type of managerial position which requires 10+ years of experience. That's what I put for credentials.
Okay. Now, guys, remember, management is not for everyone. Remember that, and I think I said that earlier. Management in IT doesn't always make the most money. This is not the same as in anything else. I had a supervisor who was literally upset with me because I made more than him, believe it or not. And that was when I was the telecom specialist. I was the third layer support. But that my job required me knowing how to program Cisco routers, IBM routers, telephone system, PBXs, the whole shebang throughout the whole Americas. So I had to do all Latin America, the islands, South America, you name it. And
You
he
travel?
only had to supervise.
You
Back
travel for
before
your job?
9/11, yes, and for UPS, I was able to travel with the actual pilots. That was fun, flying with the pilots. So I would jump into the plane in the morning here in the Miami airport, and then travel to Panama for whatever reason it is, deal with the systems or whatever was out there, and then at night I would come back. And after that, I traveled a little bit still, but then came out uh, what you call this, um, like
COVID?
remote desktop. It's like remote desktop, but it's called something. I forgot what it's called. NetOp, sorry, NetOp, and some other type of ways that you could actually get to the computers. So traveling per se for dispatches purposes, or even for even projects, wasn't really required that much anymore. And since I at that point was already in program manager, I was delegating tasks to the technicians that was out there. So, but my whole passport got filled twice, so I had to get I had to get extra pages and everything. I can tell you pretty much the only place I wasn't able to go was Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, and Chile. That's about it. Oh, and Cuba, because we didn't fly into Cuba.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Does a cloud analyst make more or less than a cybersecurity manager?
I
That
can
is a
answer.
good. Go ahead.
I actually part of the cybersecurity club, and I talk to specialists who are cloud specialists, security specialists. They're both exactly almost the same salary because they both work in a very specialized field. But most likely, security will make more money if they have more experience. The problem is that there's less positions for it. So think of it like this: cloud, you're more likely to get a good salary. Security, yes, you can get paid a little bit more, but the job opportunity is smaller compared to the cloud analyst. You can think of it like that.
All right,
And
I'm opening a cybersecurity firm. That's what I'm doing.
the cloud is getting bigger. The cloud is getting bigger. So I guess cybersecurity will
Yeah.
be getting bigger too. So
Oh,
Yeah,
and
cybersecurity is intertwined with it. So cybersecurity obviously has a plethora, not only the cloud aspect, but is cybersecurity is also, believe it or not, your router requires cybersecurity. It's not just your servers that are out there and all these things. So these cybersecurity people need to know and understand every piece of technology and how that impacts the network, not only on the cloud, but anything, be it a server, a computer, router, a switch,
and how
firewall.
it can be exploited and how to defend
Hmm.
against it.
Exactly. They need to know that and how to deal with that. So it gets very, very complicated. Once again, there's a lot of knowledge, and you get paid for that knowledge.
That's
But I can
definitely
assure
like the
you,
road that I wanna
hmm
take.
yeah, I can assure you that programmers make more than management. Anybody that has these highly skilled or highly sought after, but very low count of people. See, there's plenty of people in the forefront, which is your help desk, right? You could always think of, I'm not trying to make fun of anything, but you could only be realistic. For being a secretary, a help desk technician, just trying to make a bad joke here, don't take it personal, people. A help desk technician gets paid a lot of money. Because why? HR considers a help desk technician equivalent to an administrative role, to a secretary. That's the level. But your pay is much higher. Taking that into note, now when you're looking at HR, so you look at manager can only get paid so much. Not the project managers, portfolio managers, program managers, that's something separate. But your manager for there's just so much that they're going to pay them. Directors, again, so much. Now, a person that knows C++, Java, knows how to do all those things and is programming and bringing millions of dollars into the company because of the website or the program they're making, you best bet they're getting paid about 150, $120,000 a year. Some managers don't even make more than $70,000. I hate that they took that slide out. I don't know why they took that slide out. That was there before. But there was a slide here that showed you what an actual manager makes, and you would have been able to see that the manager does not make more than a lot of the high quality roles out there for IT.
What about IT but with like freelance work?
It's a little bit difficult freelance work. Once again, that requires you to be able to sell yourself. Some people do it. I, at one point back in the 80s and 90s, I was charging 75 bucks an hour freelance, minimum 2 hours if you needed me to go out. But once again, it's hard to, I had found like 3 or 4 businesses that was willing to do that, but then it's not constant work. So it's up to you and how you want to sell it. You can open up your own business, but that's up to you. So now that we're getting into that and we got all giddy and happy, let's back to life and back to reality. What do you think a normal day of an IT professional in the help desk position looks like? Anyone? What do they usually do?
People coming up to
Lot,
you asking you to fix their mouse.
Okay.
a lot of troubleshooting.
Okay.
You have to triage different cases. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of cases are going to come up, and some of them will not be very important. So you have to don't work on those, but the ones that are super important, you work on those.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so there is key words that we should have been learning in a day in a life, and that would be one of the words triage and tickets. Believe it or not, they actually do that with you when you go into the hospital. If you ever heard of somebody taking you to the triage, that's what they're doing to you. They're definitely just not going to take you into the emergency room in the back. They have literally just took you into a room, take your name, take everything that has to do with you, and decide, are you an emergency? Should I deal with you now, or should I put you right back into that waiting room outside? That's what they do to you in the hospital. So that's what you could think about when you hear triaging. That's what it is. They'll determine from there, am I supposed to? A lot of the companies put priorities or they'll put severities on the actual ticket to make it easy for the technician to decide either which way they need to be able to decide and see if they're going to be tackling that ticket right away or if they can leave it for another day. The next keyword I just stated right now, which if you're triaging tickets, basically you're going to review, analyzing, prioritize, as we said. Next, now that we have decided what's going first, who's going second, and if we need to escalate anything, we can escalate it to our supervisor. We'll be tackling the tickets. Just like if you go, poof, and there goes my camera. That's what I get for being funny. And you take out your camera, and now hopefully you guys can see me sometime soon. Can you see me now? No.
No, but did you punch your camera by accident?
Yes, I did. But I thought that was funny, but now my camera doesn't think it's funny. Anyways, we'll continue. Oh, here we go. That's what it is. It actually turned off everything. Here, hold on a second. There we are. Now, going back to here, now that we're tackling tickets and we just hurt my poor little camera, this is basically when you are actually doing something. Like I told you, the nurse came, took your temperature, looked at you, threw you right back outside. That's not tackling. That's just triaging. The moment you're touching, doing something with the ticket, fixing it or not, if you're touching it, working on it, is tackling. You close it, still part of the tackling process. Questions on the, because a lot of people have a problem with your triage and a tackle. No questions or doubts. Everybody's a professional now and can triage or tackle a ticket.
Right. Yeah. So the mouse. So a triage ticket would be like a mouse having an issue, and a tackle ticket would be like more a network, maybe like a printer.
Good question.
I can answer it.
Go ahead, please.
I will attempt to answer it. So all of what you said is still in the triaging of the tickets, but when you that process that you described of like oh it's only a mouse issue, that's the process of doing the triaging, and the tackling is when you're actually working on the ticket. So when you go and fix the mouse, because it's triage, you're not going to fix the mouse right away. You're going to fix it last. You're going to do the most important task first. That's the triaging process. But then when you actually go and do the thing, that's when you're tackling it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So you could always think about it that way, is that triage, you did absolutely nothing except for decide when you're going to do it. A lot of times when you're triaging tickets, and I always did that, you send an email out to the actual customer, letting them know when you will be passing by to coordinate. So that would probably be something about triaging the ticket, because you're just planning and organizing, prioritizing your tickets for the day. That's all you're doing. It's just planning and coordinating. And you might even escalate a ticket to your supervisor if necessary, or someone else if you know that you can't handle it. As for tackling, that's actually when you're resolving the problem. You're working physically with the ticket and dealing with the issue that pertains inside the ticket.
I have a question.
Hmm.
So that would be through email or through phone?
It all depends. It could be that your company is does triaging, or it does everything through the internet, maybe web forms and stuff like that. But a lot of times when you take in the call itself, if you're answering the call, you can decide and triage the ticket and prioritize, and then maybe dispatch it to a dispatch tech, or if you are the dispatch tech, you could tackle the ticket later.
Okay, thank you.
Now, also, one thing that can be confusing is that when you're in the process of triaging, you decide that it is sufficient urgent and you begin to tackle it. That doesn't mean that you didn't triage it. That just meant that you did the correct thing. You decided that must be attended to right now. I can't just let it slide. So I now go into the mode of tackling the ticket itself.
So I just want to make sure I understand really quick. For triage, it would be more when we categorize an issue and or diagnose it, and then tackling would be actually resolving or fixing the problem. Is that correct?
You're not diagnosing any issues at all. You won't go into thorough of anything. So
Okay.
let me basically, let's say you call me and you're telling me there's an issue with your monitor.
Okay.
I take all your information down, I put everything down, and I have it in there. Now I can make maybe some other questions and concerns in reference to how critical is it to you. Depending on how you're answering my questions is how I'm determining how critical or how to prioritize this work compared to what exists in the moment. A lot of the time, the help desks have no other choice except for triage a ticket and work the ticket for 15 minutes, which gets very confusing. So they're going to be triaging it first. They got all the information. They tackle it right away because that's what the help desk does. And then after 15 minutes, they're instructed that if they cannot, then they dispatch it. So when they dispatch it, now me as a dispatch ticket, I read the ticket, I look at it, I now triage the ticket depending on my current workload and what when I review it and analyze it, I prioritize it compared to the amount of tickets that I already have. That's just me planning and coordinating. Completely, that's all it is in triaging.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is it possible to get overwhelmed with like triage tickets and tackle tickets?
Well, depending on your workforce or your team, if you have too many tickets, you should be able to transfer tickets and coordinate with your team to be able to. Otherwise, they have to sit and wait in order based on priority or severity.
Basically, triage is like filtering process.
Yes, it's a filtering process to see what should be if there's an urgent ticket, for instance, maybe the whole facility is down in compared to just this person's mouse. Even though I was just working with them, I should stop, let them know that I gotta let them go, that I'll be right back. Unfortunately, I have a whole facilities network that's down. That's when you're triaging. So yes, it can get overwhelming depending if you're, especially if you're a dispatch tech, when those tickets start coming in, because those come in your phone and you have to decide as they're coming in, is this a severity where I need to stop and do something else?
I have another question.
Hmm.
Is this for an organization or for like a customer?
What? I'm sorry.
Like the work of a IT help desk, would you mainly serve customers or organization?
It's always your customer. You either have internal customers or external customers. So the employees of the company are your internal customers, and then the people that maybe if you work for Amazon and they call and they're having problems with maybe an order, just giving you an example, that would be an external customer, but they're all customers.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Another example would be like Best Buy when in their teams and stuff, everybody that's coming in to the blue team or whatever they call them, those guys, everybody that's coming in from the street would be an
Geek
external
Squad.
customer. Yeah, the Geek Squad. Anybody that's coming out from the street would be an external customer to them. And then anything that's a problem within the store with any of the employees, that would be an internal ticket or internal customer.
I have another example. In coding, it goes like that as well. For instance, if I'm a user and I submit a bug, I might think it's the biggest problem in the world and I send it in, but oftentimes the priority will be reduced right away because they're like, oh, it's not a huge problem.
Yeah.
But if the service itself was down, that would be something that needed to be fixed right away.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns on triaging or tackling? We'll be doing some exercises real soon to hone down those skills and understanding what those words mean.
We'll just add about priority and severity because we had that at my last company, and sometimes it happens that there is very like looking trivial ticket, but then it's critical for business and it has to be fixed right away or something like that. So that's
Hmm.
important too. And also it's important to know who your customer is at the moment because sometimes they change real quick.
That's true.
Just a comment.
Thank you. So the next thing that we will be doing is usually project related is installations and tests. You have brand new computer that somebody bought and you're gonna have to go and do a project related to that. Usually they call them projects, but in here it's just called installation and test. So test could be anything that you may be doing, maybe a brand new application, you got to go and do some tests on it, or it could be just to go and test new equipment or backup tests. That all depends on what the request is. But usually installation and test is not something that's broken. If not, it's something that's going to be coordinated and you have plenty of time to do compared to triage tickets, then tackling, that's just repair, right? The last thing that we have, and somebody mentioned earlier, is responding to in the moment issues. Unfortunately, you will be hijacked. At least that's what we used to be called in UPS. When you're responding to in the moment, this is when an IT professional is addressed in person or email. So you don't have a ticket, no laundry, but they stopped you, and that person asked you about the mouse, and you notice it was loose in the back. That would be responding to an in the moment issue. Obviously, we most likely, depending on the company, try to guide them and point them to open tickets because we get paid by the amount of tickets. Not that we get paid by ticket, but we get evaluated by the amount of tickets and the quality of what we write on the tickets. Therefore, if we do a bunch of responding in the moment with no tickets, depending on the company you're in, that could lead to trouble. Any questions on a triage ticket, tackle ticket, installation and test, or responding to the in the moment?
Would you say the more tickets you do, the more likely you are to like get a promotion or any type of hiring a higher income from that?
Quality would probably be first before quantity.
No, but I'm
Quality
just
of,
saying if
I know what you're saying. I understand perfectly, but that's what I'm trying to tell you is the quality of your work would be looked upon before quantity. I understand. Yes, there is some management which unfortunately go and base everything. Oh, this guy closed 50 tickets and this guy only closed five. But I'll tell you once again, back to my own little history there. When I was inside UPS in the portfolio project management role, I had operations and all the help desks under me. In part of the thing is that I caught there was people doing 25 different tickets, but they were taking all of the easy tickets while leaving poor Peter with all the hard tickets. Yes, he only did five, and that person did 25, but they took all the easy tickets. So should I give you a raise for going and swapping out a mouse? Or should I give Mikey a raise because he was able to fix a server? Make sense? So be
yeah, it
careful
makes
on
sense.
be very careful on quantity and what you do is more on the quality. I've had people also take 5 hours literally and they put done. Or worse, they went to go swap out a keyboard and they took an hour or two. So be very careful. If your manager is doing his job or supervisor is doing his job correctly, you will be caught. And it only is going to lead to integrity issues and being released as we had to do with several technicians. Next. Quiz time. Oscar came to work and noticed someone has already triaged his group of tickets. He starts taking care of the tickets right away based on its priorities.
Where do we answer?
Should be there exactly what you see on my screen. You should have exactly the same question.
Not on the Zoom screen, but on the link that you opened up at the beginning of class.
Yes. Thank you for that one. If you're looking at my Zoom screen, you wouldn't be able to answer that one. That is correct.
I
Anyone
answered
want?
it.
Make sure
Okay.
you can go ahead, by the way, guys. I notice some people are doing 2 and 3. Just wait until we get there, maybe.
Yeah, I'm stuck on 2.
Number one. Anyone want to take a guess on what he's doing?
B.
He's tackling his tickets. Sounds right about right, because he already got it triaged. They already told him what to do, and he's already starting to take care of the tickets. Little tricky thing there, I know. It said he was dealing with priorities, but that's just trying to trick you. Lizzie notices her batch of tickets is not organized. She started to organize based on how important they are. Anyone?
A.
A.
Yes,
A.
I would have to say A, triaging tickets. She has no idea what to do first, and she's about to attempt that. Next, Adam is at his desk doing tickets until his phone rang. His boss needs him to go to the front desk to help a customer right now. Adam puts his tickets on hold and went to the front desk.
C.
Everybody agree?
C.
C. Yeah,
Sí,
C.
señor. I would have to answer submit. And chair. So that is correct, guys. So far, so good. So I'm gonna play a little game here. Four corners. We're gonna text you now in the chat. You can have a number one, a two, a three, and a four here, but we're gonna be in the chat. There's gonna be four corners. You're gonna see in the Jamboard as we had before. You guys remember Jamboard? The one with the little post-it note. So you're gonna put the number one and your initials and your initials in that specific post-it note that pertains to either triage, tackling, in the moment, or installation and test. Depending if this was triage, for instance, I would put in the triage little post-it note DC and one. So let's go look for the chat and get the link. Here's our little Jamboard. Not sure what that was about. But for instance, if I wanted this one to be number one, I come in here. It won't let me? Of course not. Doesn't it let you? Anybody want to help me out here? Oh, sure. Now that it does. Now it lets me. You can't add or enter or anything? Oh, that's annoying. All right. So just put your little notepad, I guess, here next to it. That'll be easier. Sorry about that. But I would put something like this, for instance. See, something like that. Here's your four corners. Just put your initials on what you believe. So I'm going to start now with number one. Number one reads as follows. Amir arrives to work, logs into the ticket managing system. He begins opening and scanning tickets to determine which ones he will work on first. He finds one his supervisor needs to see and sends it to her. So it is Amir triaging tickets, tackling tickets, installing and tests, or responding to in the moment.
One.
We got one vote for one so far. I see some other votes there for one. Good,
You think you
good.
could put it on the screen so
I think I am sharing. Oh, you want the question on the screen?
yeah, so we can just look at it.
Yeah, sure. Here we are. So that was number one. Amir wants to work, and we got several people who seem to agree that number one is over here. Number two, now Amir reopens a ticket of a client who called yesterday. He calls the client, helps him resolve the issue, and with his email, he closes the ticket. So would that be over here with triaging, on this side for tackling, on the bottom left for installation and tests, and then on the bottom right for responding to the moments. So he reopens the ticket.
Would you mind reading the question a second?
Amir reopens a ticket of a client who called yesterday. He calls the client and helps him solve an issue with his email account. He closes the ticket. So he helps them with their email and he closes the ticket after he finishes. Would that be triaging, which is the upper left hand corner, tackling, which is the upper right hand corner, or left hand bottom is installation and test, bottom right, respond in the moment. Looks like a lot of people seem to be believing that he is tackling tickets, which is correct. He is currently tackling the tickets. It clearly states that he opened it. He even says that he's closing the ticket, so definitely working on it. Number three. Amir moves on to the next ticket. He chats with the client and remotes into her system so he can solve an issue she is having with a software. After speaking with the client, he quickly discusses the issue with a colleague since he's not worked with the issue before. And they both come up with a solution together. Amir enters some notes into the ticket management system and then closes the ticket after he fixes the problem. So, is he triaging, tackling, installation and tests, or responding into the moment? Number three. Ooh, some people saying respond to in the moment. Somebody saying, oh, I like this. This is cute. We're getting some votes for all over the place here. I would like to ask KL, what makes you think that he is responding to in the moment? For number three.
Because he hasn't worked on the issue before and they're on the phone at the moment.
Okay. Does anyone else agree with that statement?
Um. Oh, you said agree or disagree?
Agree, yeah. That can help him with this and agree with what he just stated.
Actually, answering that, I think I'm wrong now.
I
Now that I say it out
disagree.
loud.
Hey, now that you thought about it out loud, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it does sound tricky because he hasn't worked with them yet, but it clearly states that he is working and they come up with a solution. They close the ticket, so he is tackling the ticket. As I stated before, it gets tricky in the help desk because sometimes you don't even uh, really triaging per se. You triage at the beginning because you're just jotting everything down, but then automatically it looks like when he says that he moves on to the next ticket because that's the next thing he has in his queue, the next thing that he was planning on doing. That was another clue that I would have gave it there. One, that he closed the ticket and that he's moving on to the next ticket. So remember, if you're working on it at all, even if you do not close it, if you're physically working, doing something, working, diagnosing, doesn't matter. As long as it's not triaging to figure out what priority to put on it, that would be considered tackling. Number four, a client comes up to Amir's desk and tells him about a problem he is having with his computer. Amir listens to the client and tries to figure out what the problem is. So, would that be triaging for number four? Would that be tackling tickets, installs, and tests, or responding to the in the moment? Okay, everybody seems to be gravitating towards in the moment. I would have to second that motion because he has no tickets. He's been hijacked, clearly states it. So he's just responding to in the moment situation. Next is Amir gives next question number five. Amir figures out he can't solve a client's issue immediately, so he fills out a ticket and gives the client expected timeline and when he can expect to hear from the help desk. So number five, would he be triaging that ticket, tackling the ticket, installing and testing, or just responding to in the moment? We got everybody flying everywhere. We have some people saying it's tackling, some people are telling me it's triage, some people think it's just a in the moment situation. So NK, what gives you the idea that this would be tackling tickets for Amir when he figures out he can't solve it immediately and just fills out the ticket and gives them a timeline when to expect?
Because he started working on it, and at least that is like doing something with the ticket, not only decided. It was
And this one's a little bit tricky, I would have to agree. And this is where the key words weren't said. If you notice, he just notice. He says he figures out or notices, and he's filling out the ticket and tells them a timeline when we're going to call you back. But it doesn't say that he is attempting to fix, he's attempting to solve, he's attempting to do anything. The only thing he does do is let them know that they will be calling him back and when to expect. This would be considered triaging a ticket because of the fact that they all he did was just listen and from there notice that he most likely is not going to be the person. A scenario like this might be that, for instance, the person needs maybe the voicemail reset, and he does not have access to the PBX. So he fills out the form and lets them know when to expect for somebody to be able to fix that issue for them. That is triaging a ticket, because then he's going to escalate it to the correct people. Number six, then Amir continues with a high priority ticket. He noticed that morning he contacts the client but cannot resolve the issue. He takes notes and makes a follow up plan. Ooh, sounds so close to. So now he says he's going to continue with a high priority ticket. He contacts the client to resolve it. He takes notes and now he's going to make a plan to come back and also do something else. So number six, although we're caught 50-50 here, I would have to unfortunately agree with whoever's on the upper right-hand corner and stating that it is tackling a ticket. It sounds almost exactly what just happened to the previous person, but in this case, it does state that he is doing something, but he cannot fix it. He puts the notes and he says he's going to follow up with them again. He's not trying to prioritize. He already knows it's a high priority ticket. He's just unfortunately not able to fix it at that point. Number seven, Amir then attends a meeting to plan a mass software installation. So is that triaging? Is that tackling a ticket? Is that installation and tests? Or is that responding to in the moment? Definitely. It says it even there, right? Mass software installation would be installation and tests. A project that he probably has coordinating for several months already, and it's go time. Number eight, Amir returns to his desk and reopens a ticket management system. He calls a client who's having issues with internal folder sharing networks. He resolves her issue and closes the ticket. So at number eight, would he be triaging, tackling, installing, or responding in the moment? Amir returns to the desk, reopens the ticking system, calls the client who's having issues with internal share folder, and he resolves her issue and closes it. That's correct. I would have to go with the majority who put it into tackling a ticket. We can see it's a little bit tedious at first, but the more we practice, the
Um,
more we will get used to these words and their significance.
I have a
Yes.
question. Would it possibly go under respond to in the moment? Because he just came back from his desk. So isn't he responding in the moment of that time to?
That is a very good question, and it's very, 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 very close to what you just said. Unfortunately, responding into the moment, and the reason why I keep on alluding to being hijacked, when you're being hijacked or you're responding in the moment, means that you have no ticket, no laundry, no ticket. Anybody see that movie? No ticket, no laundry. So if you don't have a ticket and you're working on something, you have officially just been hijacked and you are now in the moment because you don't have a ticket. So when you fix something that doesn't have a ticket, you're no longer considered tackling something. You are responding to in the moment because you don't have a ticket.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So tackling is with the ticket, in the moment, no ticket.
That would be the easiest way to differentiate from the two, but they're both the same, right?
Diego, do you have
Because you're
time to
fixing
go
something.
through question 5 again? I'm getting some students asking questions about that again. With why
Yeah.
is it triage?
Yeah. Number five, you said?
Yeah, the one where they're confused that it should be tackled, but in reality it's triage. Maybe you can explain it
I
better for
have it
them.
here. Okay. Amir, okay. So Amir, he sees that he cannot. So let's pretend that Lazaro just called me. I'm a help desk technician. He says, look, I forgot my password. I can't get into my voicemail. At that moment, since I am a help desk technician, and since I know that I do not have rights to the PBX, I know immediately that I cannot fix this customer's issue. I'm just going to fill the ticket out because remember, telecom is not a help desk technician. He's not going to take your information. That's someone you would escalate to. So now I grab my ticket, I start filling it out, I get all the client's pertinent information, and I'm going to let them know. Expect to hear back from my telecom tech on X amount of time, depending on the severity of the situation. Usually they tell you if it's going to be 24 hours, 4 hours, an hour. That is all guidelines within the company. But at that point, he is not fixing anything. He is not diagnosing anything. He didn't do anything except for take down the person's temperature and their credentials. That's all they got. That makes sense?
So filling out the ticket just means
Triage.
something as basic, yeah, as taking
That's,
their contact.
yeah. When you triage a ticket, remember, just like in the hospital, what do they ask you? They ask you for your name, your date of birth, They ask you several questions, then they check how high you are, they check your temperature. Those are all triage things. Those are things that they're asking you. In other words, so when did this happen? When was the last time you were able to get into your voicemail? Are you completely locked out? Those are all questions. I'm triaging him. I'm getting information from. What's your extension? Where can we reach you? Those are all questions. I fill out the whole ticket. Now I'm not fixing it because there's no way I can fix it. I will then dispatch it to the telecom tech who, again, will triage that ticket that just got to him and decide, do I work on this right now? Is it an emergency? Do I stop what I'm doing? No? Then I'll work on it later. The moment that I open the ticket and start working to reset the person's voicemail, now that technician, the telecom tech, is tackling the ticket because he's resetting the voicemail. Any other questions or concerns? Good questions. All right. So we need to understand that every company has their own rules and regulations. We need to be able to adhere. As we saw, Amir escalated one of his tickets to his supervisors, most likely from previous knowledge and or some type of information that they have given him. Need to be able to adapt to new situations and be mindful with your communication with your team. So whenever you send something to somebody, it's really a courtesy of you calling them and letting them know, or even sending them an email. Some systems do this already, so you don't need to do that. For instance, when I transfer tickets to anybody, usually in these sophisticated systems, they get an email being notified. But if we know that there is something that may be a little bit tedious to understand, maybe the person and the way that we're explaining it was hard for you to be able to type it out in a ticket, feel free to go ahead and notify that person and communicate that information. We're going to be doing a little walk around with a gallery walk, I believe, with in a moment. Actually, no. Yeah, gallery walk, gallery walk, gallery walk. We are right
Google
in it.
Doc, the Google form.
Thank you. If you can go ahead and post a Google form in here for that. You guys should have a link in a couple of seconds from Lazaro. Anytime now, Lazaro. That would be the purple form, the little purple form. Yeah. Lazaro?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Just
If you could
making
post
sure.
in the chat. Okay. So
All right, you should be in chat right now. Just go click on that and try your best. You are going to have to put your email. That's how I verify if you've done the assignment or not.
yeah, so we've talked about IT industries and their role in IT professionals. We're now going to be going into this activity IT professionals phase. You may notice that the last activity Amir escalated, as I stated, the tickets. So just feel free, go in there, start filling out that information. If you want to collaborate with each other, I have no problem with that. Just go ahead and start. If you want to be put into separate rooms in your little things, however you feel warm and toasty. But we start off with scenarios with Harry. You should be able to see that form now and start filling out the information. Any questions or doubts, or somebody does not see the form? So you should be able to see this little scenario here. Guys, remember, these things are more of activities for us to provide feedback to each other. There is no right or wrong answer. It is a learning activity. Don't start Googling or going crazy. No need. It's a passing grade as long as we're doing the activity and working with each other to learn. Don't want anybody think they need to write a dissertation right about now. Although writing a dissertation would be very nice because then I could force Lasso to read it. So Anyone was able to so far? I gotta let you guys do it. I'll put a 5-minute timer. I'll leave you alone. Don't go to sleep though. Whatever you do. Actually, guys, I'm noticing we're actually running out of time. So at 2 o'clock, feel free to go to lunch. You have time to answer these questions as time permits. You have the form. So you have until the end of the day today.
I have a
So in
question.
1 minute. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, is there anything else we should be working on besides that, or is that just because I
You
just
will,
want to like use the maximum amount of
yeah,
time
good
for
question.
know.
Yeah, Canvas, you'll see that anything related to this T1 session, you'll see that Canvas has some CFUs or some other questions in there that you can review in reference to the modules for day 1. So feel free to go in here and you can look into day 1, anything that pertains to T1 itself, which will be the technicals. Sorry, that's day 3.
Day 2, correction. It's day 2 is
Sorry,
where
day 2. I'm already lost. Look at that.
Me too. I knew that as well.
I'm already in the past. I'm already in the past. Everybody already understands me. Here it is, technical skills industry. So anything in this area here, feel free to go through it and answer any questions. You can review those questions also with your TAs if you have any doubts. But it's 2 o'clock. Enjoy lunch. I'll see you guys here in an hour.
Peace.
I had a quick question, Diego.
Yes.
Do we have to finish the questions right now?